Hey everyone, it's Will, GamerDad, with another video for you. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to one of my YouTube members, Tinky. Thanks for your support. Now in tonight's episode of Should You Summon, we are now on version 2.9.7, and so we do have a couple of different Fateful encounters, and as well as obviously the AS Hardy banner. So, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So let's go with the Mythos Quintet of Swords and Wings Fateful encounter first. So again, these are all one times, and so this does require 1,000 paid stones as usual. On the 10th ally encounter, you're guaranteed one of the 5, and these 5 are very powerful units: ES Molina, AS Rosetta, AS Thilly, Mistar, and Milsha. And so you can see on the 10th encounter, it guarantees 20% on each of those 5. So the 10th encounter will not have any other 5 stars. However, on pulls 1 to 9, you can still off-banner one of the other units, either in 4.5 or 5-star versions. As usual, there is all the units up to date for Fatefuls. And of course, unfortunately, bots, Rainbow Sisters, and Knights as well. So I'll quickly just summarize here. If you're relatively new to the game, mid-game, or even early endgame, and you're willing to spend some stones, and you're missing a few of these units, I highly recommend you summon on this particular banner. Just in quick summary, I know that Magic Zone is still active with AS Chio. However, AS Rosetta on her own is still a very significant, powerful Magic Zone setter. And so if you have her as well as AS Chio, you'll just have more variability on your team. Not to mention, AS Rosetta is fire-based, and of course AS Chio is earth-based, which may allow for some variability against certain bosses weak to either element. Milsha, if you've checked out my early 5-star review of her when I first pulled her, is a very potent lance user. End of turn, that Lunatic Shade attack basically can wipe out a lot of enemies depending on how you set it up. Mistar is another relatively older unit, however, still pretty good. Bow user, I think it's Wind Crystal, and can synergize quite well actually with other wind type units, or even with the likes of someone like Melissa. You don't see her that much in endgame content. However, I think she actually has a lot of potential, and either now or in the future when they have different types of say Crystal or Lunatic type zones. AS Thilly, not much to be said, still one of the most powerful DPS in the game, raw damage wise. Her AS form is very potent fire DPS, and even if you side grade her to the normal style, her shade attacks are top notch. And finally, ES Molina. I've mentioned her in the past, however, she forms a very potent combination with Melissa for 1-turn and 2-turn AF strats. She on her own can really apply a lot of debuffs to the enemy. She can speed up your team. She can allow other non-Melissa teams to do a 1-turn AF, so on and so forth. Again, you can check out the 5-star review of all the units except for AS Thilly, which I don't currently have yet. So again, in summary, this banner is a highly recommended banner if you're missing multiple units from this banner, and even if you're in the early end game, you might still find use for these units. Now this one, I'm a little bit questioning. Just going to spend a little bit of time on this. So this is a kind of Fateful that promotes Cynthia and AS Shannon, and I really don't know why this Fateful is here. I can't see myself recommending this banner at all. I mean, Cynthia is all right, but she certainly is a lesser version of, say, Melody. She's obviously a much lesser version of Nakoko. For those who don't know, Cynthia basically plays in all 4 elements, and she can kind of convert her attack element to the one that matches the zone in play. But of course, like I said, Nakoko is much better than that, and even Melody can kind of do the trick. In terms of AS Shannon, still pretty good Wind/DPS. However, she is a little bit dated, and Wind does have a lot of DPS, either free or other units that you may have on your team. So again, don't recommend spending paid stones on that one. Now we come to the main banners here. So the Fateful for AS Hardy. And again, This one is a 10% chance on pull number 10. And it actually does have a 1.46% chance of getting the normal style Hardy as well. So you can consider that in the calculations. You also have pulls 1 to 9, 0.8, 0.8, and 0.4, which will be very similar in odds to the free banner. Again, all the newest units are here because it's a Fateful. And a reminder that this is a one-time use. In terms of the regular one, which free-to-plays as well as spenders can spend stones on, the odds are the same, except it does not guarantee a 5-star on pull number 10. And being that this is a free banner, I don't know if AS Chio is here. So let me just quickly look here and see if she is. And I'm going to say generally no, so keep that in mind when you are pulling on this banner. You'll still have access to a lot of the 5 stars, but not AS Chio from what I can see. Again, for those who missed my video yesterday, AS Hardy is our second Flash Strike stance user. So the first one being Milsha. And AS Hardy is a little bit different. So not only can he do Flash Strike stance, his damage is, well, first of all, he's a Fire Blunt user. And when he does his normal spam attacks, which you can obviously do in the first turn with Flash Strike, it stacks heat bullets, which basically allows more multi-hit combos and increases AF meter and AF combo meter as well. Then you do a kind of zone breaker move, and that's called the Eclipse Cannon, which is Fire Blunt AoE. And it consumes all those stacks or heat bullets. And based on that, if you have enough of those, you can do a massive, massive attack that does a ton of damage. So for those who are wondering what the difference in Hardy versus Milsha, I would say, in my opinion, Milsha is a much more potent support unit. Don't forget that her DPS is extremely low. Her multipliers and her overall damage doesn't really do much. She is a very fast unit though, and she has all those type attack ups, for example, 50% wind and crystal resist down. She has that break that she can inflict at the, if you do her Ruin Genocide at the end of a turn or end of an AF, for example. And she can, obviously being a crystal, she can double her attacks if you activate Lunatic for a lasting 3 turns. She also can increase crit damage for your entire team by 30%. Now, Hardy, on the other hand, is kind of a solo guy, and you can kind of tell from his, operations as well as his collaboration with Sophia back in the day. That being said, no slouch at all. He can do a tremendous amount of damage, and from the looks of his move and his kit, he will still be potent after Flash Strike stance is over. And so the main advantage I would say for Hardy over Milsha is that after Melissa's turn 1, if you haven't killed the boss, you may have to move her to the back and let other people kind of take over and finish the battle for you. With AS Hardy, I believe he could still stay in the front line. He can still generate additional stacks. He can do that super finisher move, so on and so forth. And so he will be a welcome addition to all fire teams, blunt teams, or even mixed teams. Don't forget also, if you do get AS Hardy or even a 4.5 Hardy, you can side grade to the normal style Hardy, which is our physical fire zone setter. So not bad at all. I think he's really cool. And hey, he reminds me of James Bond, and style alone, this banner is 11 out of 10. Now, in terms of whether or not I would recommend pulling on this banner, it really depends on your stone count, what banners you're saving for in the future, and your overall impressions of AS Hardy. Now, if you're strictly talking about AS Hardy and Flash Strike stance, and you're on a meager budget, if you already have Milsha, this would be considered a luxury pull where it expands your options with Flash Strike stance. However, I don't know if you really need an additional fire DPS, no matter how powerful he is. I mean, you can still do Fire Slash, Fire Elemental, or Fire Magic Zone. If you don't have Milsha, now it's a lot more tricky of an answer. And so I would say that any Flash Strike stance is better than none. But don't forget, next week is our newest update with Chapter 1 of the 3,000 year arc, which is basically a continuation of, Nagi, the Dragon Palace, Sheila, and so on and so forth. And Pizzuka is a very highly sought after unit, and that is the banner after this one. So if you have a ton of stones and you want to spend a few thousand here, and you're missing a flash strike stance and so on and so forth, I think you could afford to spend a little bit here. Again, if you do have Milsha, this would be more of a luxury pull. And bear in mind that you want to really have some stones for the next banner, which is Pizzica, even though it is a split banner. I think the function of Pizzica, she's a very unique unit, and she does things that no other unit up to global currently can do. So overall, I would rate this banner, like a 7 out of 10. Not bad, not certainly top notch, but still a lot to go for. And like I said, style points, 11 out of 10. Now that being said, let me know in the comments below if you're planning to summon, if you've already summoned, or your results. And I know a lot of you have already replied. And like I said yesterday, I am probably going to try some pulls on AS Hardy. Again, I'm going to be keeping the vast majority of my stash for Pizzica, although, when it comes to pulling and gambling, you never know if people can rage pull and go out of control. But I'm planning to hopefully keep to my budget and, and save for the future banners. Anyways, a little bit later on, I'll be doing the manifest for Rosetta. And if I do summon, you'll be the first to watch it when I upload that to YouTube as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.